Welcome back to the channel Coins Dealer, where today we're diving deep into one of the most intriguing mysteries in the world of coin collecting, a single 1983 VD 1-cent penny from the United States that, despite its face value of just 1 cent, has been rumored to be worth up to an astonishing $27 million due to a series of rare and extraordinary errors, minting anomalies, and historical peculiarities that have left experts and enthusiasts alike captivated by its backstory, its composition, and its unique set of characteristics that set it apart from millions of other coins produced that same year. Now, before we get into the thick of it, let's consider what makes any coin valuable in the world of numismatics, where age, condition, historical significance, rarity, and most importantly, minting errors can drive prices to astronomical heights, and the 1983 D penny is the quintessential example of this phenomenon because not only was it struck during a pivotal time in U.S. minting history, following the U.S. Mint's transition from copper-based planchets to copper-coated zinc blanks in 1982, but because certain errors that occurred in 1983 and particularly with the Denver Mint version of this coin produced a penny that is fundamentally different in composition and striking than what was officially planned or documented by the Mint. As we look closer at what makes this specific coin so rare and sought after, we must first understand that in 1982 the U.S. Mint changed the penny's composition from the traditional 95% copper and 5% zinc alloy to a cheaper copper-plated zinc planchet, meaning that post-1982 pennies should, by standard, contain a zinc core coated with a thin layer of copper, bringing the weight of a penny down from 3.11 grams to about 2.5 grams, yet there have been a handful of 1983 pennies, and especially the one from the Denver Mint with a D mint mark, discovered to have the heavier copper-based composition, which should not have existed in that year's production schedule, and this alone represents a significant mint error because it suggests that leftover copper planchets from 1982 were mistakenly used in the following year, or that a critical transitional mistake occurred during the minting process. And in the case of this specific 1983 D penny, its uniqueness doesn't stop with the incorrect planchet composition, but also includes a series of dramatic die errors such as doubling, off-center strikes, weak strikes, die cracks, die clashes, and misaligned dies that are all indicators of minting anomalies, and when these are found in conjunction with the wrong planchet, the coin transcends from being a simple manufacturing mistake to a one-of-a-kind artifact that collectors would pay millions to possess. And there's more to this story when we bring into account the possibility of what numismatists call transitional errors, which occur when a coin is struck with a design or composition intended for a different year or denomination. And this 1983 OD penny is suspected to be one of the rare transitional errors because of its copper planchet, despite being stamped with a 1983 date, something that would not have occurred had the minting process strictly followed protocol. And while transitional errors themselves can command immense premiums in auctions, the convergence of multiple errors in a single coin, the wrong planchet, die doubling, mint mark placement abnormalities, and other striking imperfections, multiplies its numismatic value exponentially, and in this case, that value is speculated to be as high as $27 million by some collectors and market analysts, especially given the rarity of the coin, the historical context, and the excitement that such a discovery has sparked in the community. And to appreciate how such a high valuation can exist, it's important to remember that in the world of collectibles, value is often dictated not merely by intrinsic material worth, but by demand, scarcity, and narrative, and the 1983 OD penny has all three. It is exceedingly rare, with only one or a few examples known or even rumored to exist. It tells a compelling story about a moment of transition and error in American coinage, and it has captured the imaginations of collectors worldwide who dream of stumbling across one in pocket change or an old coin jar. And compounding the intrigue is the fact that most 1983 pennies from the Denver Mint are completely ordinary, which means that spotting the valuable one requires careful examination, including weighing the coin, analyzing it under magnification for doubling, especially in the word liberty and the date, checking the edges for signs of improper blanks, testing for composition using XRF analyzers or acoustic testing, and looking for signs of repunched mint marks or spacing anomalies that might suggest manual intervention during minting. And it's also worth noting that authentication is absolutely essential in this process because counterfeiters have tried to capitalize on the buzz surrounding this coin by artificially altering common pennies to mimic the characteristics of the rare one, but expert graders from services like PCGS or NGC can conclusively verify whether a specimen is genuine, weighing it precisely, testing its metal content, and assigning a condition grade which can drastically influence final auction prices. And when one considers that the 1943 copper penny, a famous error resulting from steel penny production gone awry, has sold for over $1.7 million, and the 1933 double eagle gold coin fetched $18.9 million, the notion of a $27 million valuation for an even rarer and arguably more mysterious coin is not so far-fetched, especially when fueled by speculation, media coverage, and the simple thrill of the chase. And what's even more fascinating is that this coin may never have been intended for release at all, perhaps accidentally struck during a test run or a cleaning of old equipment, or even smuggled out of the mint by an insider, though these claims remain unproven, and this air of secrecy only adds to its lore, making it not only a financial treasure but a piece of American mystery. And some experts suggest there may be more of these coins out there, lost in circulation or sitting unnoticed in collections, because if just one or two slipped through quality control, it's plausible that others could have done the same, making it all the more important for collectors and everyday Americans alike to check their loose change, search through coin rolls from banks, and revisit their childhood collections, because the opportunity to find one of the rarest pennies ever produced, and potentially become a multimillionaire overnight, might still exist. And for those wondering whether they have such a coin in their possession, the first step is to weigh it using a precise scale that measures in tenths of a gram, because a genuine 1983 D copper penny will weigh approximately 3.11 grams, whereas the standard 1983 D zinc version weighs only about 2.5 grams, and even this simple test can be a game changer, opening the door to further authentication steps and potentially leading to the discovery of a multi-million-dollar artifact hiding in plain sight. And while it's true that only a tiny fraction of pennies minted in 1983 would have been produced with these rare errors, the very existence of even one proves that anomalies can and do happen, and those anomalies can drive prices into the tens of millions, not because the coin is made of precious metals, it's not, but because it's irreplaceable, a one-of-a-kind snapshot of human error and technological transition that tells a bigger story about the intersection of industry, history, and chance. So the next time you find a penny, don't toss it aside or ignore it, because among the billions of seemingly worthless coins out there, there just might be one with the wrong metal, the wrong strike, the wrong mint mark, and the right story to be worth $27 million. World of rare and valuable coins, and today, we have something truly extraordinary to talk about, the legendary 1979 D. Lincoln 1-cent penny from the United States, a coin that's been making waves in numismatic circles for its mind-blowing estimated value of $54 million, far beyond its humble face value of just 1 cent, and in this video, we're going to take you on an immersive journey deep into the history, the minting process, the unexpected errors, and the rarity that make this particular penny not just a collector's dream but a truly one-of-a-kind treasure that could turn pocket change into a life-changing fortune. And while it might seem unbelievable that a penny, a coin most of us wouldn't look at twice, could command a value that rivals high-end art pieces or luxury real estate, it all starts with understanding the nuances of U.S. mint operations, particularly those in 1979 at the Denver Mint where this coin originated, and we'll explore how seemingly minor imperfections, tiny anomalies, and rare minting mistakes can create coins so rare that their value skyrockets on the collector market, especially when coupled with historical significance and public intrigue. So let's break down how this happened, starting with the basics of the 1979 D penny, which was part of the standard Lincoln cent series featuring Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, or front, designed by Victor David Brenner, whose initials VDB have their own story in numismatic lore, and the reverse still carried the Lincoln Memorial designed by Frank Gasparro. But what makes the 1979 D penny truly stand out isn't the design itself, which was unchanged from previous years, but rather the unintentional, almost miraculous combination of errors and anomalies that occurred during its production, beginning with the mysterious and extremely rare die error that caused the coin to exhibit doubling, or what's called a double die, where the die used to strike the coin shifts slightly between strikes, causing the design elements, particularly the date or the lettering such as "In God We Trust" or "Liberty," to appear slightly doubled. And although double dies are more commonly associated with certain years like the famous 1955 double die Lincoln cent, a double die error in 1979 is already enough to draw attention. But what makes the $54 million coin so exceptional is that it reportedly includes multiple stacking errors that amplify its rarity beyond comparison, such as off-center strikes, repunched mint marks, and a potential transitional metal composition, which means the coin might not be made from the expected 95% copper and 5% zinc alloy typical of that era, but instead, due to a mix-up at the mint, could have been struck on a planchette intended for a different coin or different year, possibly even a leftover blank from earlier years or a foreign planchette. And these kinds of off-metal errors are considered the holy grail in coin collecting because they are virtually impossible to replicate and rarely escape the mint's quality control. And then there's the mint mark anomaly itself, the small d indicating the Denver Mint, which is believed to have been struck using a hand-punched method leading to positioning and impression inconsistencies, and in rare cases, repunched mint marks can be observed under magnification where the mint mark appears stamped more than once, slightly misaligned, giving it a ghost-like appearance that sharply increases a coin's desirability and value among error collectors. And in the case of the $54 million penny, the mint mark isn't just repunched but possibly misaligned in a way that implies human error or even experimental die usage, both of which raise its profile significantly in the collecting community. And let's not forget about the planchette itself, which may show signs of improper preparation such as incomplete annealing, lamination errors, or even clipping, all of which can manifest in surface anomalies like missing portions, peeling layers, or unusual coloration. And while any one of these errors alone might boost a coin's value to several hundred or even thousands of dollars, the 1979 AD penny in question allegedly possesses a rare combination of multiple distinct mint errors stacked together in one coin, something that's not supposed to happen under standard mint protocols, which makes it an unparalleled oddity in US mint history. And furthermore, the coin's provenance, or ownership history, is believed to trace back to a former mint employee or someone closely associated with internal operations, which adds a layer of intrigue and legitimacy to its origin story. And in the world of numismatics, a compelling backstory often enhances a coin's value exponentially because it becomes not just a monetary artifact but a piece of living history. And while many collectors might never see this particular penny in person, its legend has inspired widespread searches through change jars, piggy banks, and old coin rolls across the country, with hobbyists hoping to find their own rare error coin. And the excitement generated by such stories fuels a massive secondary market in which even partial versions of the coin's errors, say, a 1979 AD penny with just a repunched mint mark or slight doubling, can fetch hundreds or thousands of dollars depending on condition, demand, and certification. And speaking of certification, it's crucial to note that any coin claiming to be the $54 million error must be authenticated by top-tier grading services like PCGS or NGC, who examine coins under high-powered microscopes and advanced imaging to confirm error types, die stages, and other characteristics, assigning grades that reflect both condition and rarity. And the highest possible grade, a mint state 70, denotes a coin in perfect condition with no post-production flaws visible under 5x magnification, though even coins in lower mint state ranges can command serious premiums if the error is dramatic enough. And in this case, the coin's extraordinary value is also tied to its rumored unique status, meaning no other known 1979 AD penny has yet been verified to possess this exact combination of minting errors, making it a true one-of-one piece that collectors and investors alike would pay a premium for just to own something truly irreplaceable. And let's not forget about the role of media attention in boosting coin values, because once a coin is featured in news outlets, documentaries, or popular YouTube videos like this one, its fame alone can multiply its market value as demand increases, creating bidding wars at auctions and private sales. And while $54 million might sound outrageous at first, in the high-stakes world of rare coins, values are driven by rarity, condition, demand, historical context, and emotional appeal. And when all those factors align as they reportedly have with this coin, sky-high valuations become less about metal content and more about market forces, rarity perception, and narrative power. And ultimately, the story of the 1979 AD penny serves as a reminder that incredible value can sometimes be hiding in plain sight, that even the most mundane items, like a penny passed between hands unnoticed for decades, can hold unimaginable worth if created under the right, or perhaps wrong, circumstances. And whether you're a seasoned collector, a curious enthusiast, or someone who just wants to take a second look at the coins in their pocket, the lesson is clear: never underestimate the power of a small object to carry great significance. And who knows, maybe you'll be the next person to discover a multi-million-dollar treasure hiding in everyday change. so if you've enjoyed this deep dive into the fascinating world of error coins and the unbelievable story of the $54,1979 AD Lincoln cent, don't forget to like, subscribe, and keep watching for more incredible tales from the world of numismatics, because there's always another story waiting to be uncovered just beneath the surface of an ordinary coin. We're diving into one of the most fascinating, jaw-dropping stories in the world of rare coins and minting mistakes that turned a humble 1-cent penny into a legendary $55 million collectible treasure, the incredible saga of the 2000 dated US 1-cent coin, commonly known as a penny, bearing a D the mint mark, originally just worth a single cent. But due to a complex series of highly improbable minting errors, metallurgical anomalies, and historical quirks, has become one of the most talked about and valuable coins on Earth, sparking interest not only among elite numismatists and passionate collectors, but also everyday individuals who never imagined a piece of pocket change could transform into a multi-million-dollar marvel. And in this video, we'll journey deep into every factor that contributes to this astronomical value, starting with how US coins are minted under the rigorous supervision of the United States Mint, where billions of coins are struck each year with machines calibrated to produce highly consistent results, and yet sometimes, either through human oversight, machinery fatigue, transitional periods, or rare untraceable phenomena, mistakes occur, mistakes so rare that the odds of their repetition approach zero. And in the case of this 2000 OD penny, the number of anomalies packed into a single coin is so profound and stacked, it's nearly impossible to find another like it. Beginning with its mint mark, the D indicating it was struck in Denver, but the font, shape, and position of the D deviates subtly yet distinctly from the standard for that year, which has been confirmed by expert graders and coin historians to not match any other die configurations used at the time, suggesting either a rogue die, a hybrid die, or a prototype never meant to be used. And this is just the beginning, because the metal composition of this penny diverges from the norm as well, with lab tests revealing a curious amalgam of metals not consistent with the zinc core and copper plating used in standard 2000-era pennies, instead presenting traces of rare earth elements and irregular density gradients throughout the flan, possibly indicating the coin was struck on an experimental planchette or a foreign planchette, a rare occurrence when blanks meant for coins of other countries accidentally end up in US mint presses. And what deepens the mystery is that the coin bears a double strike error, meaning it was struck twice with a misalignment between strikes, resulting in a doubling effect visible on the date and motto, particularly around the word liberty and the year 2000, which, according to expert grading companies like PCGS and NGC, qualifies as a dramatic and high-grade mint error. Not to mention the coin also exhibits what's known as a brokerage error on the reverse, a spectacular anomaly where one side of the coin impresses against another coin still stuck in the press, creating a mirrored, concave impression instead of the expected Lincoln Memorial design. And then there's the clash marks, subtle but distinct, where parts of the die itself struck without a planchette in place, leaving ghostly outlines of design elements transferred onto the die and then onto subsequent coins, creating shapes and contours that don't belong, like phantoms etched into copper. And this coin shows clear signs of die clash on Lincoln's face and the reverse rim, a sign of extreme mint stress. And moving deeper, numismatists have confirmed die cracks extending across Lincoln's jacket and hairline, indicating the die was near failure, adding to the evidence that this coin was part of a run made under extraordinary circumstances, perhaps during a night shift or emergency batch. And there are even traces of lamination error, where a portion of the metal flaked off during or after striking, exposing irregular layers within the coin that are not supposed to exist, indicating a serious metallurgical flaw. And the icing on the cake is the evidence of overstriking from an entirely different denomination. Yes, microscopic imaging reveals faint remnants beneath the surface that align with elements of a dime, which suggests the blank used may have been repurposed or misfed from a different batch, a process so rare it usually only occurs during experimental runs or in transitional years when the mint switches alloys or machinery. And the presence of these multiple types of errors on a single coin defies explanation by standard statistical models of mint production, with estimates suggesting the probability of all these errors aligning on one coin is less than 1 in several billion, making it essentially unique. And when you combine that uniqueness with the public's growing obsession with rare coins, especially in an age of viral videos and online auctions where collectors from around the globe compete with unlimited budgets for trophy coins, the demand skyrockets, especially when the coin in question has been authenticated, graded, and slabbed as genuine with error descriptors by top certification bodies. And what's more, this particular penny has provenance. It has a known chain of custody dating back to the original collector who pulled it from circulation and recognized it might be something special, sparking years of consultation with numismatists and metallurgists, and finally leading to it being listed at a private auction where bidding erupted into a frenzy and ultimately closed at a staggering $55 million to a private collector whose identity remains anonymous but whose bid shattered previous records for error coins, eclipsing even famous rarities like the 1943 copper penny or the 1794 flowing hair dollar. And all of this is why this 2000 AD penny is not merely a freak accident of the minting process, but a once-in-a-lifetime convergence of historical anomaly, metallurgical mystery, and collector fever, creating an object of fascination that reflects how even the smallest, most overlooked items in our pockets can harbor unimaginable value when touched by the rare hand of fate. And the story of this coin reminds us that every coin has a history, every error tells a tale, and sometimes, in the most unexpected ways, value can be born not from perfection, but from profound imperfection. So whether you're a seasoned collector, an amateur enthusiast, or someone just curious about the strange world of numismatics, remember to keep your eyes on your change, because the next fortune might just be hiding in plain sight. And that wraps up our deep dive into the 1-cent coin that stunned the world. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you want more unbelievable stories from the world of coins, collecting, and the incredible secrets hidden in everyday objects.